So when the Hever Kaddisha is called to do a Tahara, Mark Yellen, where's Mark? Mark is our communications guy who puts out the call via email. It used to be something that you got called on the phone, but now we have adapted the technology to our advantage to put out the call by email, and we all reply as quickly as we can. Usually these are scheduled about 8 in the morning, 8 or 9 in the morning, the day of the funeral. And we gather and light a candle, but we don't have a candle, so we're not going to light a candle, that is representative of the spirit of the person who has died. And we always make a point of avoiding standing at that person's head, because that is where the Shekhinah, the indwelling presence, still is hanging around. And in some cases, some people who are maybe more sensitive about these kind of things can report feeling that person's presence in the room with us as we do this sacred task of washing and dressing the body, preparing for their final journey. So this is the prayer that we, as a team, usually we have a team of 5 or 6, ideally, to do this. We'll wash our hands, and we have a unique, well, I guess it's not unique, it's traditional to have a 2-handled cup, and you make 3 pours over your hands to cleanse your hands before doing this. Now, we are doing this without personal protective clothing, but that is a part of what you do as a member of the Hever Kaddisha. We look like giant Smurfs in these blue gowns with blue gloves. If you want to wear a mask, you can wear a mask or shoe covers. And we all have had hepatitis B shots because, yes?
Is that traditional, or has it changed over the years?
The personal protection and the hepatitis B, that's more current. Yeah. So once we've washed our hands and we've divided up the jobs, filling the pails of water with warm water, getting the clothing, the tachrachim, ready to dress the body, we gather and say this prayer: Source of kindness and compassion. Source of kindness and compassion, whose ways are ways of mercy and truth, you have commanded us to act with loving kindness and righteousness toward the dead, and to engage in their proper burial. Grant us the courage and strength to properly perform this work, this holy task of cleaning and washing the body, dressing the dead in shrouds, and burying the deceased. Guide our hands and hearts as we do this work, and enable us to fulfill this commandment of love. Help us to see your face in the face of the deceased, even as we see you in the faces of those who share this task with us. Source of life and death, be with us now and always. And then there is a prayer for the deceased that we read, where we'll insert the name of the deceased. And the deceased is Lola. This is my plastic skeleton who usually comes to my death cafes, but we have fleshed her out a little bit, so we'll put in Lola for the name. Life of all worlds, have compassion for Lola, daughter of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, who followed you in faithfulness. May her soul and spirit rest with the righteous, for you give eternal life to those who have died, even as you bring death to the living. Blessed are you, for when we ask, you pardon and forgive the errors and offenses of the departed of Israel. May it be your will, God our ancestors, to bring together a circle of angels of mercy before the deceased, for she is your beloved, the daughter of those who sought your presence. Rock of all worlds, as you who are attentive to all who struggle, save this soul from pain as she travels the path from life to death. Blessed are you, abounding in loving kindness, source of compassion. You are the one who makes peace in the high places for those who love and revere your name. You are praised, for with compassion you redeem your people Israel from all suffering. May it be your will, God of our mothers and fathers, to remember the merit of the Holy Covenant. I will place the Torah in their innermost parts and write it upon their hearts. Blessed are you, O God, maker of the covenant in compassion and mercy. You, O God, are the source of goodness. You forgive all who call upon you. Sweep aside our transgressions like a mist. Disperse them like a cloud. Blessed are you, generous in counsel and powerfully compassionate. May the one who has died walk with the righteous through the Garden of Eden, the place of those who stand upright in your presence. Blessed are you, source of all gentleness and love. Grant mercy to the departed of your people Israel. May this be your will. Amen. And then we do the physical cleansing of the body. Now, very often when we are preparing someone, when they come from the hospital, they've got a hospital gown on, they might have medical devices still attached. We do what we can to clean them up as best we can. If it's a woman or even a man with fingernail polish, we remove the nail polish because the idea is to return to the earth as clean and natural as when you were born. And
we do leave certain things like PICC lines, things that would be more traumatic to remove. We disturb the body the least possible. If it's a catheter, it's me, we'll take it out. But if it's something that's really indwelling and will be, I don't know if the men do the same, but if it will be really disruptive to the body, we'll just leave it in and cut it.
And it's all about modesty too. That sheet stays over the person as much as possible during the entire cleansing. And even when those who come up here to hold the chuppah-like sheet over, we'll see that they stand facing away from the body so that modesty is maintained.
of course, we don't usually have an audience when we do it. So we do the physical cleansing, just removing the sheet to wash an arm, or the full body, and turning the body over from side to side to pour along the length of the back. Always to the right first, and then to the left. And then we pour water over the top of the sheet while we read, for women, this beautiful reading from the Song of Songs. For a woman, and we can read you what is read for a man as well, because it's gorgeous. How fine you are, my love, your eyes like doves behind your veil, your hair as black as goats, winding down the slopes, your teeth a flock of sheep, rising from the stream in twos, each with its twin, your lips like woven threads of crimson silk, a gleam of pomegranate, your forehead through your veil, your neck a tower adorned with shields, your breasts twin fawns in fields of flowers. How fine you are, my love, my perfect one. Isn't that nice? Let's read for a man. His head is like the most fine gold. His heaps of curls are black as a raven. His eyes are like doves beside the water brooks, bathing in milk and fitly set. His cheeks are like a bed of species, towers of sweet herbs. His lips are roses dripping, flowing myrrh. His arms are golden cylinders set with beryl. His body is polished ivory overlaid with sapphires. His legs are pillars of marble set upon foundations of fine gold. His appearance is like Lebanon, as select as the cedars. His mouth is most sweet, and he is altogether precious. This is my beloved, and this is my friend, daughters of Jerusalem. So when you've got someone who's lived a long life, and the body is withered, and to be saying these beautiful words about our physical bodies, no matter how old or young we are, it's so moving and so sweet, beautiful. So then we get to the part where we do the ritual Tahara. So this is all about pouring the water the length of the body. This is the mikvah of death. We have this tradition of bathing in a mikvah before a wedding, for women after their monthly period to become clean. And there are very few places that actually have a mikveh where you could dip a dead body in. So instead, we pour a continuous stream of water the length of the body with a pair of people doing the pouring. We lift the sheet up like a wedding canopy, so we're still protected from the heavens. And anything else?
And even during this period, we do not stand in front of the head, so people hold a corner and not of the sheet so they don't stand in front of the head.
And you'll notice as we work now and beforehand when we're cleaning the fingernails and doing all of those things and we're drying, we never pass anything over the body. So we have to go to the end at the feet or underneath. And it is true, sometimes we forget. We apologize to the body, but we, as much as possible, we do not pass anything over the body.
And I just want to say, while we're doing the initial cleansing, where perhaps removing clothing or something, putting the sheet over, pouring the water over the sheet, it really is a beautiful time as well. I often find myself holding her hand, and just being with her. It's just really moving.
Mm-hmm. So our mikveh people, our volunteers for the huppah holders. So grab a corner and turn your back.
Outward like this. So you hold it over your head like this.
And you get that one.
Face out and hold it way high over your head.
You may want to go to the
Yeah,
back.
face
Why
down.
don't you guys switch? 'Cause
Yeah.
you have to take these things into consideration.
Way high up and facing out.
You'll notice when we pour the water, we're going to pour it continuously. Again, sometimes we do the best we can. Yep, that's perfect. So the one person starts pouring, another one is still pouring here, the next one starts, so it's a continuous stream that doesn't stop. And we have already combed her hair. We've already combed her hair. We've also cut out, if someone comes from a hospital or facility or home, if the mortuary knows when they pick them up that they're going to have a Tahara, they'll be asked to bring the body in the same sheet in which they died. And then what we do is we cut out any blood and we send that with them in a biodegradable bag. And when we comb the hair, we also send hair. We don't send dressings, we don't send urine, stool, we don't send any drainage, just blood and hair. That I think it's because we might need it later. Is that right?
Well, it's part of the body.
So it goes with them.
Yep.
So
That's it. Here's the little linen bag that's placed. You place the hair in and any of the bloody clothing. Elohai neshama shenatata bi tehorahi. 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 Shenatatavi Tehorahi Elohai Neshama Shenatatavi Tehorahi. So that, of course, means, oh God, the soul that you have given me is pure. For a man, you say Tohoraha, but this is the women's team, so we say Tohorahi. And the amount of water that gets poured is 24 quarts of water, and basically the buckets and the pitchers is the right amount, basically. Anything? So thank you, Hopa holders.
The name of in Hebrew, the name of the male body is a met, and the name of a female body is, I mean, not the name, but the word for it is a meta for female.
And after we've done this ritual pouring of the water, we dry the body with towels very carefully, and then it is time to dress the body. And we have a reading. Who wants to do the reading? For
You want to do it?
so we all read together. I greatly delight in God.
My soul rejoices in my source, for God has clothed me in garments of deliverance, and God has wrapped me in a coat of justice.
So the tafrahim is the Hebrew name for the burial garments. And they are reflective of the garments worn by the high priest in the time of the temple. And we do these readings because as each item is put on, it refers to biblical passages about the high priest getting dressed. And we didn't mention this in the first part of our panel discussion, but this whole tradition of using a plain pine box and cotton or linen simple clothing actually is traced back to Rabbi Gamliel in the 2nd century, when there were Jewish families that were going bankrupt, putting on these really fancy funerals and feasts and expensive caskets and everything else. So he ruled that all Jews, rich or poor, would be buried in a simple shroud or box in these plain white garments, so that we are all equal in death and we are all high priests.
So as we get ready to do this, I will mention that our Kaddisha does do bodies that are going to be cremated, and we put them in that cardboard box we talk about after we do the ritual washing and put them in shrouds. Many Kaddishas across the country do not do that, and we have chosen in ours to be accepting and to do that.
And with a linen headdress he shall be attired. Now, no, not lace yet. Women's headdresses are these cute little bonnets. Men's head coverings are basically a bag that goes over the entire head. There are very few differences between the
other mic's better.
Okay. There are very few differences between the tafrahims, except the sizes. So first we put the head covering on. And the lovely black hair.
We often have sort of a styrofoam
Headrest
piece
works
underneath
out.
the head, so that it's not resting on the table, or sometimes just towels under it, so we feel better like the head.
Use the mic.
Pardon me?
Use the mic.
Oh, use the mic. We often have either a styrofoam piece underneath the neck, or we'll use towels under the head, just so that it's nicer, so the head's not resting directly on the table.
And the linen breeches shall be over his flesh.
You're going to notice at the bottom of the pants, the feet don't come through, because you will not need...
This person will not be walking anywhere. And there are no pockets because you can't take it with you.
So donate to charity.
Donate to charity. Donate to the Jewish Federation of New Mexico. So one of the tricks about doing this is gathering up the pant leg like pantyhose, and then so you got the feet all the way at the bottom, and then pull the pants up. Oops, she's
Turn to the right.
Lock the arm. So that we can pull the breeches all the way up.
So we're pulling the breeches all the way up over her hips, turning side to side. She's fortunately very light.
This is so easy.
And once the pants are in place, then it's time for, he shall put on the holy linen tunic. And there's actually an under tunic and an over tunic. This is the under tunic. You can tell the difference between the under tunic and the over tunic because the over tunic has a collar.
You see how we pull it out, we don't expose the body. Pull the sheet out.
And the trick to dressing a dead body is, with these garments, is turning them inside out, laying it on top, and then feeding the arm through the sleeves and turning it inside out as you roll up to the head.
And it is a challenge in real life.
It is on the
Even those of us who have been doing it for many, many years still screw up and have to start over.
Need a head,
Like right now.
head lift?
Oh, honey, I'm sorry.
Oh, your hair came off.
I'm sorry. And we do actually really talk to the body, because we really do make mistakes, and we really do say, I'm sorry, and it's just natural.
We do. And the first one gets tucked into the first
in the back.
the first tunic is
I'll turn it to the right. Oh, I'm sorry, sweetheart.
Do you have stipulations that the family wants to watch it?
This is a very good question. Do you want to do this or do you want me to?
Yeah, she asked, do we have situations where the family wants to watch or even participate? And yes, we have. And it can be a very cathartic, very healing thing to do because we don't get to work with our own dead very often. We don't see dead bodies and touch them and help them get to what?
We're going to do
So
the
we'll
tie.
do tie.
Oh,
But
okay.
we do request in our cover Kaddisha, if family members do want to come, that they bring a support person with them so that they can leave at any point, and we tell them they don't have to explain, they don't need to say anything. They just need to go out if they need to, but they'll have someone with them so that we're still being able to be attentive to the body.
They want to explain the tie.
Oh, the tie, okay. So what we're doing, and you'll see as we don't, you can do it. So we're tying the knots, and you'll see us tie some more. We tie it 7 times, and then 7 is the number for completion, and then we pull it through in a certain way that makes the letter shin, which is like an SH letter in Hebrew, and we do that because
Shaddai is the letter Shin means Shaddai, the guardian of Israel, who neither slumbers nor sleeps, watches over you in eternity.
And then the one end of the shin, or the letter, as we turn it, always faces, if their tie's up here, they face toward the heart this way. If they're the ties you'll see at the knees, they face this way, always toward the heart. And in real life, we do not stand for it.
No. And the outer linen, we don't usually have this much hair in the bag.
That's the back.
Yes.
You ready?
So Gail,
Mhm.
in real life, you cut on the blood or all of the hair, curious?
Well, we wash the hair as well as the whole body. So blood, I don't know.
So what was it?
If there's blood in the hair, what do we do?
Oh, yeah, we send the blood, because the blood and the hair just go together.
Blood and the hair go
It all
together,
just
so.
goes in the bag.
So why is it in the bag? Cut it off.
No,
Oh, no.
no.
Hair in the comb.
Hair in the comb.
Yeah.
Or if it falls out on the table.
You're going to get it out
no problem.
When someone has been through chemo, oftentimes hair will just fall out while we're doing this ritual, and so that gets picked up and put in the bed.
Is this the same for children as it is for adults?
Question.
I think so.
Where's Mark? I don't know the answer. We do. So we'll just make pretend that we're putting this over. Yeah. So we know it's late on midnight.
Yeah.
So Gail, just to be clear, if the family decides that they want to go through, say, Daniel's funeral home, can they ask for this service to be done?
That's what they.
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And
And then Daniels or French would turn around and get in touch with Mark to coordinate the Heber Kaddisha coming in to do this.
okay.
In fact, all the more.
It's a free service.
Right.
We don't charge for it.
And is this, I've been to plenty of Jewish funerals in my lifetime, and I've always seen people dressed in their best clothes. This is the first time that I've seen this. So how often does this happen? Is this?
How do you know they're in their best clothes? Is it an open coffin?
Yes.
So they're not following the...
I personally am very accepting of everything. I'm not.
Sometimes the
I'm reformed, but that is not traditional.
Okay.
This is more traditional. And many communities don't even have, smaller communities, not east or west coast, don't even have a group of volunteers to do this. And some people don't even know it exists. It's sort of a traditional thing.
And the funeral homes are very nice. They're really very nice about working with us and giving us the room, and always very thankful that we've come to do this.
Now, there is one thing in the Tahara kit that we don't put on the body, which are these little aprons for the women. It's like, we've cooked enough in our lifetime. We don't need to be wearing no aprons in the afterlife. In fact, one of our members collected these aprons, and she actually did a lovely batik. So she sewed them together and did a batik, which is what we use at Daniel's for our chuppah during the pouring of the water. So then, he shall gird himself with the linen avnet, and God Almighty give you mercy. Okay, yeah. And then we have, before we finish up, we do this reading.
God shall always guide you and satisfy your thirsty soul in time of drought and strengthen your bones. And you shall be like a well-watered garden, like a water spring whose waters never fail.
And at this point, we move the deceased to the coffin. And what we do is there is a sheet, there is a piece of lace that goes over the face for a woman. As I mentioned, the men's tafrahim is a bag over the head, basically. But the men get buried with their prayer shawl. And the either one or all of the long fringes in the corner are cut off because they are there to remind you to do the 613 mitzvahs that are commanded in the Torah. And you can't do any mitzvahs when you're dead. So
Gail, I noticed the hands are exposed. Does that matter? Because everything else is covered.
doesn't matter, no.
We're going to try the rest of the ties.
Oh, so we put ties around the legs, just below the knees. On the women, where is it on the men?
On the ankles.
On the ankles? Okay.
So this is the big one.
That's the big one that goes in the casket. Somebody want to help me take this lid off the casket? Okay.
And so you notice we're going to tie these, and we're going to tie them in the same way, the 7 times, and make the shin and aim it toward the heart. And I'll use this time, so basically after the title, when we get the body into the coffin, we are going to put pot shards, except we don't have any with us, keep them in the mortuary, so we're going to pretend pot shards. We actually put Vaseline on the eyes and mouth, and put pot shards on the eyes and the mouth, because we don't need to speak or see anymore. And
Well, it's that these eyes shall no longer see, this mouth shall no longer speak. Yes. And then within the Tafrahim kit, there is this great sheet, which we use to transport the body from the table that we've been preparing the body on over into the casket. And we do that by sliding it under the body, rolling her over onto her right side for the first one. All right, keep that head on there. Don't lose your head, Luna.
Are the arms always left exposed?
The hands, or it depends on the length of the arms of the person.
But I think they're supposed to be, right?
They're not, they don't need to be covered in part of the ritual.
And what are the ties on the legs for?
The ties on the legs, I don't know why we tie the legs.
Oh my God. Is Rabbi Schwitzer still here?
From flopping in the wind.
So,
And tell me that legs is anonymous.
oh, and this is an anonymous, the reason you probably have not heard of this or know about it is you're not supposed to let the family know that you did the Tahara for a loved one. It's a mitzvah that is to be anonymous, because this is a favor that this person cannot repay.
And if you're thanked, it really isn't as much of a mitzvah, which again is why it's not traditional for family members, though we do with a support person, but it's not traditional for family members to be there. We don't want to be thanked. We can say we do this, we're all volunteers. We can't say we did this for your mother.
Yeah.
I just wondered, you ladies, I know it's a mitzvah, but how did you happen to get involved doing this?
Oh gosh.
Were you a nurse?
I am a nurse, so I failed to mention that before we pour the water over, we actually pack all of the orifices. And since I think I'm the only nurse, I'm always the one who does the lower orifices. And so I'm a hospice nurse, and I think I started doing this about 15 years ago. Wow.
Well, when I became the doyen of death and decided to focus on getting people to talk about funeral planning, I felt compelled to get involved with our Jewish traditions and preparing the dead for burial. And it really makes you appreciate being alive to help and see and work with a dead body like this.
And I'm not a nurse, and I'm not the doyen of death, but I have always been interested in the transition between life and death, and the whole process of death, because it's so much a part of life that people are afraid of, and so it's always been something that is very reverential to me. So I did it because I wanted to be part of it.
We all think it's an honor.
Wow. So basically, we pick up the body, we put it in the casket. People are leaving, so let's do the closing prayers. And
We got it.
Is someone able to do the prayers in Hebrew?
So let's put her in.
sometimes.
The book itself has Hebrew and English in it for all the prayers, so sometimes someone prefers to read the Hebrew.
Yeah, and there's a little bit that I know,
So what we usually do is we're all holding it like this and lifting it.
But since she's so light,
She just floats. She does. Virtually just floats.
This is why you like to have 5 or 6.
yes, that's why we usually have 5 people on the
Sometimes we
team.
do have to get mortuary people to help us if we're all volunteers and most of us still work. If we're not available and we can't lift the coffin, we'll ask the mortuary for help, and we try to have only the same gender. If we have to have an opposite gender, they do not come in until the body is completely dressed. And I have never had anybody come in that wasn't completely respectful at the mortuary. We don't have enough.
Who sews those cloths? Who makes the cloths?
The Tahrahim are very often made in Israel. And I have the wrapper for it.
So after the body is in the coffin, we,
Just says lady supervised by Rabbi Yaakov Huss.
what we do is we sprinkle, this is dirt from Israel. We have people, when they go to Israel, bring back actual dirt from Israel to symbolize actually being buried in Israel.
Actually, the tradition is that those of us here in the United States or other places being buried, if you're buried in contact with earth from Israel, the idea is when Judgment Day comes and the resurrection happens, yes, the Jews originated that idea. Being in contact with earth from Israel will cause your body to roll underground and you'll be recreated in the land of Israel. Sort of.
So what we always speak to the body, we each say what we feel. Rabbi Min always apologizes to the body for any awkwardness, if we've messed up the shroud or it's been difficult to lift the body. She always apologizes. And so we kind of each have our thing.
All right, this is your,
I gotta take this home.
Lola, it's been an honor to be part of your Tahara, and if I did anything that was awkward or uncomfortable, I apologize. You seem like a really wonderful person. I didn't know you, but from what we know of you, you were a wonderful woman, and you will certainly go in peace to the next leg of your journey.
I usually comment based on the body. Sometimes it's very obvious that people have had a very difficult time. You can tell by the tubes and the swelling and the bruising and whatever. If that's the case, I always let them know that we recognize that they had a hard time, and I wish them Godspeed. And don't hear this, you hospice and infection control people. I always kiss the person's face just like I do when I pronounce a death in a patient's home. Or I help dress a person in the hospital. And I do as I say, not as I do.
Well, Lola, thank you for being so patient with us and our awkwardness. I apologize for any mishaps along the way of preparing you for your final journey, and I hope you rest in peace.
And I just want to add, mostly we don't know the individual that well, but I've had the honor of just one time of doing a Tahara for a very close family friend. And that was absolutely so meaningful to me. And I was kind of worried, do I want to do it? Am I going to break down crying? But I'm so glad I did it. I really felt like I was with her there at the end. It was just really wonderful.
And we'll put the lid on the coffin, we'll put the candle that has been burning the whole time we've been doing this on top. The water bottle. And by the way, I love the fact that the Father's Building Futures Jewish star they designed for the casket is big enough to put the candle right in the center of the star. That is a vast improvement over.
If we do leave that candle burning when we leave the room, and it stays burning until the mortuary comes and I assume they put it out before they put them in that.
And I just want to say, there was one time when we had a Jew by choice who we were doing the Tahara for, and her family asked if they could come look at part of it. Rabbi Min was with us, which was such a blessing. So she went out and got the family and explained what we're going to do next. And they came in for the part where we put the shards on the eyes and the lips and sprinkled the dirt and said a blessing. And they joined us in sprinkling dirt and saying a blessing. And they were just so awed, and it was just lovely. It was gorgeous.
And then we finish as a team with this prayer. May God bless you and keep you. May God's face shine upon you and be gracious to you. May God's face be lifted up to you and give you peace. For the guardian of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. In the name of the God of Israel, at my right hand Michael, on my left hand Gabriel, before me Uriel, behind me Raphael, and above my head, God's sheltering presence, above my head, Shekhinah. The priestly blessing. O house of Israel, come let us walk in God's light. The rock of Israel has spoken and called the world into being. From the east where the sun rises to the place where it sets, Peace shall come, and each of us shall rest in our appointed place. For dust we are, and unto dust we return. God has given, God has taken away. Blessed be God's name. And that is basically the Tahara ceremony.
Then,
Then,
we take the coffin out. It depends what mortuary we're using, whether we remove it out into an anteroom or we stay in the room. But as we come out, we do the ritual hand washing again, the 3 times, 1, 2, 3, and pass it on. And then we have what in modern day times we would call a group hug, and the Chevrah huddle, and really just because everyone is different, the experience is different, and it's just kind of helps us to go about our day to say something and give each other a hug.
That's very nice.
did somebody have a question?
I probably should have asked it earlier. Maybe the spectrum goes from Orthodox to Reformed, but what about body tattoos? Does it matter what the tattoo is or having one at all? Because I've seen a Hebrew name written on the body.
The tradition was that it's a an old wives' tale, that if you have a tattoo, you can't be buried in a Jewish cemetery. Well, it's...
Lenny Bruce said that.
Yeah. But you can. It doesn't rule things out. And the way people are getting tattooed these days, it's like, yes. Donations are welcome. Yeah, to the Federation? Yeah.
If you want to send to the Federation and then
For the Heber
for
Kaddisha.
indigent burial or for whatever.
Yes.
Most families do donate afterwards. They just know that that's something you would do, but it's certainly not mandatory.
And honestly, more times than not, if we're out of like acetone for the nail polish or something else, one of us will say, I'll bring it. So somebody goes out and buys it and just brings it and leaves it.
I always bring the adult diapers and chucks.
Can you tell us something about the origin and the meaning of this ritual?
Purification.
It's a purification ritual. And, think about it. When people died in the desert, it's hot, it's dusty. It's an opportunity to become clean before your final dirt nap.
As the prayers say, it washes away any iniquities, any wrongdoing before you're buried. And so we like that.
Yes.
Sorry. If the person was at home or whatever, they died natural causes and so forth, they weren't in a hospital or something, and they end up coming to the funeral home clothed. Mm-hmm. What happens to the clothes?
Generally, we cut them off the body and just throw them away.
Okay.
Yeah.
They don't go in the bag.
They don't go in the bag.
There's blood off.
Yeah, we cut the blood off and keep the blood.
All right.
Yes.
Yeah, I was just going to say that because my mom died when I was flying to Israel, and the only way that I could say goodbye to her was to go to this ceremony in Israel. She had been refrigerated, and my siblings they had seen her while she was still alive. But for me, it was the only way that I could actually say goodbye to her. And it was extremely significant for me to be able to be there for the Tahara, to kiss her, and whatever.
It's nice to be able to be there. So thank you all for coming tonight. It's been a pleasure.